So what we're going to be talking about today is the psychology of rejection. Now, firstly, yes, I am losing my voice really fucking bad. And it's because of all the boot camps we're running back to back. If that's something that you do want to do, I am about to fly out to New York to do another boot camp, but I am still filling up until the end of December. So if you guys are interested, follow the links down below. Back to the subject at hand. What is the psychology of rejection? Now, in this video, I want to, one, clear up a lot of misunderstandings about it, and two, I want to also give you the mindsets that have allowed a lot of my clients and myself to be able to put yourselves out there and to get a different connotation with rejection itself. Rejection is something a lot of guys fear, and I personally don't believe is something that should even be on the spectrum, like something that you should even think about twice. And the guys that I know who are the best at this, who are very charismatic men, a lot of times they're the kind of guys who are willing to risk getting rejected and even laugh in the face of it, have so much fun, even though seemingly they're getting like nowhere. It's still fun. It's all about the mindsets. And a lot of guys, they put too much weight on this, and it's what holds a lot of you guys back. So let's get to that first. So why do you care? Why is it such a big deal? Why is it if a girl says no to you that it's gonna hurt your ego and make you feel less than? Now, there's two different types of people in this section right here. That one receives rejection very well, and the other one is one that receives it in the way that is probably a reason for you to be watching this video currently. So the first one is what I call a perceiver. So it's actually, this is a Myers-Briggs term, but I'm gonna use it for this terminology. A perceiver is somebody that has the ability to look at two different things at the same time and see reasoning for why both might be right. They feel very okay with ambiguity, and they're very open-minded. Now, the second type is what's called a judger. A judger is somebody that has more of the affinity with, this is the way the world works, and they feel uncomfortable with the ambiguity, so they take strong stances in beliefs. So what is it about both these mindsets that's gonna actually benefit you personally? Now, at first, a perceiver, it seems like, you know, a pretty good outcome. It seems like a pretty good mentality, right? I mean, if you're open-minded, you're a lot more quick to learn, you're a lot more easy to have a conversation with oftentimes. But when it comes down to this, you're also the kind of person to see a gorgeous girl and then go back and forth in your head thinking, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And then you go back and forth and you beat yourself down and you burn up all your willpower, because what you're doing is you're burning up the willpower of approaching, and then you say, no, I shouldn't. And then you do it again, and then you go, no, I shouldn't. And you burn up all this willpower, and then what happens? You go home and you're absolutely just torn apart and you're tired, you're exhausted, and you never want to go out again. Now, a judger, on the other hand, is going to either give you a firm no, this is not what I'm going to do, or he's going to be a firm yes, this is the only option. In this one thing, you need to learn to be a judger. There's no other option but to take action. Now, this is really hard to do. All right, as I'm even saying this aloud, you're like, well, easier said than done. I'll put it this way. So, the reason you have an issue or a hard time with this is the same reason why whenever people come onto a boot camp, it's so easy suddenly to approach. It's because you have somebody giving you the framework, giving you permission to take action. But why can't you give yourself permission? Why do you have to wait for the world to tell you it's okay? It's the same reason why I've seen like a lot of people that watched this channel when there was like a lot of things going on YouTube, why a lot of people fell off the map, and then all of a sudden now it's starting to be cool again, and now everybody's like back into, you know, banging the drums and trying to figure this stuff out. Which, I'll put it this way, for a lot of you guys that have this issue specifically, you guys need to start believing in your own word. And the only way to do that is to take a lot of action and to really start practicing an internal locus of control, which you do again time after time by putting yourself into the furnace and resharpening your own edge. And number two, by also noticing every time you pull this up, you have to be able to develop a stronger frame, a stronger baseline, a stronger foundation for yourself, because you're viewing everybody else's frame as being this like more worthy of hard decisions, as opposed to being like, I'm the man, I'm the masculine, I make hard decisions, I can do something that's difficult. And a lot of you guys are willing to do that because you guys don't feel like that people are going to accept you for that. When all along, to be honest, you should be the only person that you have to accept. Which again, this comes down to where you just start believing that you're deserving of certain outcomes. And once you start believing it, once you start believing your own self, once you've gone through the wins and the losses, once you've gone through the trenches, it becomes a lot easier to ultimately go out and approach. Now, for those of you guys who are perceivers, it's momentum. straight momentum. It's going out there consistently over a long period of time, over a year's time to a year and a half. It's effortless to approach. And I'll say this, anytime anybody was to like say, don't do it, you develop your own strength of will. You're like, okay, look, I don't think that you have the right information, the right data points on your own sheet, which that's fine by you. But I'll tell you this, for my version of reality, this is the only option. And now guess what? Now it's effortless. Now, the next thing you need to do too is you have to understand rejection is just a normal thing for guys. Like the more that you like put this weight onto it that it isn't, it's more like, all right, so for me and my friends, this is what it is. It's more of a very lighthearted, like very relaxed thing. It's almost like it's a joke in upon itself. You can literally see it on somebody's face when they approach and they get rejected, and how it's like one person that can just completely destroy, and another, the reason that like people look at that one guy that got destroyed and be like, man, that rejection was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. But another person, he'll get rejected in either one of two things. One, you don't even see it on his face, where it has zero emotional registry, or two, he's having so much fun and he's laughing. He either laughs with the rejection, makes it fun for himself, or two, it's just lighthearted, dude. It's not that big a deal, and he just kind of smiles and be like, whatever, cool. And he moves on to the next one. And now people will actually look to you to see how bad the rejection actually is, or to see if you did even get rejected. Now, if on your face you're still happy and you're also flat-faced, nobody's gonna even know what happened. Everybody's gonna assume that you had a great interaction. When you go talk to the next girl, she's gonna be looking forward to you talking to her. So you have to change your connotation of rejection. It's not a big deal. And the more you realize it's not a big deal, the more you'll be able to put yourself out there and to figure this stuff out tenfold faster. You're gonna wait out like years to figure this out, like you're gonna wait out a decade, or if you actually figure out how to handle rejection properly and have the right connotation, you can now pump them out and have more of a solid vibe and energy, because now you don't really care, because you know no matter what that the things that you believe you're deserving of will come around, whether it's today, tomorrow, a month, a year, 2 years, a decade, you'll still get the results. So what does it matter? It doesn't. You're deserving of the results, and it will come in one form or another. As long as you believe that you are deserving of the results in the narrative, it helps out massively. All right, so let's get to the point. Okay, so now the next point is that this is something that I've realized in myself. So I found that I was actually addicted to getting rejected, and it was very subtle. I knew the way to speak and the way to move that would make a girl attracted to me, but then I would purposely try to get rejected. And I tell myself, no, I'm just gonna do it for 1 or 2 sets, and then after that, I'm gonna start taking them seriously. But then I realized over time that it wasn't that, it was the fact that I, on some level, liked it. I liked the pain, I liked the depression, I liked the ability to continually prove time and time again that I was the wounded warrior. And again, you have to realize where your dark addictions are, your depression, your anxiety, your fear, and nip them in the butt. And whenever they start arising, so let's say you get rejected and you start fuck that girl, and you're putting that energy onto her, be like, no, pull it out. It's not even irrelevant. Why would I let myself do that? Why would I put my mind there? The more you put your mind in a certain place, the more that branch of thought will thicken and strengthen, and it gets easier to get yourself drawn in there, as opposed to being like, cool, and just moving on, like you would as if you're meditating. In the same way, you don't want to put your brain somewhere where it's going to start fueling that addiction, because the more it fuels that addiction, the more it's going to strengthen that branch, the easier it's going to get to be sidetracked. Now, undoing this just takes focus and persistence. So if you can do those two things, focus and persistence, every time you start getting that negative feeling or thought process going on, it's you doing it to yourself. You control your own emotions. Pull yourself out of that and put it into more of a positive one. Reframe it 3 times. Oh, that girl's that girl's such an asshole. No. That girl's mistaken. It's fine. Not everybody's for everybody. I'm gonna go have fun despite that. What was that even? It was irrelevant. I'm out here having fun. The sun's shining. It's great weather. There's cute girls out here. I'm gonna go say hi to some more. Not everybody's supposed to like me. That was a fluke. That was a glitch in the matrix. So I'm gonna move on. So reframe it. Put your brain somewhere else. And every time you do find yourself getting into dark addictions in terms of approaching, nip it in the butt real fast. You need that self-awareness. All right, so along with this, Yeah. Let's get into the different reasons why girls reject you. Now, they happen at different points, and you have to understand there are certain reasons that are your fault, and then there's certain reasons that are the girl's fault, and there are certain reasons of like circumstance, situations, and happenstance, things that just outside of your control. So let's get into the first ones, things that are your fault. Now, there are mannerisms that make a guy attractive versus not attractive. There's also mannerisms that make somebody seem inauthentic or authentic. There's a way of being that would make a girl feel like maybe you're just in it for the sex. And there's ways of being that would make the girl feel like you are too soft and now she's just not physically attracted to you. So we're gonna go down the line. So your approach, let's see, if you're coming across like too button pushy, that's a big sign. The girl's gonna get like kind of an off, creepy, weird feeling, and she's gonna bounce out. And it's gonna be very abrupt. She's gonna be like, all right, well, I gotta get going by, or it's gonna be straight aggressive, and it's gonna be kind of a little bit rude. But the reason it's rude is because you present yourself as a caricature of a person instead of being an authentic individual. Now, when you do this, how easy is it for a girl to reject a caricature of a person? Pretty easy. So in the same way, when you approach a girl with like a cardboard cutout of yourself, you should expect to like, get treated as such. Like you need to learn how to present yourself in an authentic way, a way of speaking. Now, even if like you're changing 10 to 20% of yourself at a time, which is my personal way of slowly evolving, the other like 80-90% of you should be authentic. So if you're working on your groundedness, if you're working on your self-amusement, if you're working on your eye contact, if you're working on your tone, if you're trying to fix you're a little bit too provider-ish, like all these different like things, you want to take 10 to 20% of your mentality and put it there, and the rest of it is on autopilot. You're just having fun, you're free-flowing and stupid, you're hanging out with your friends, just being like, just unhinged. That kind of energy is very powerful. So just recognize if you're getting very harsh rejections, it's oftentimes because you're being inauthentic, and that's what's causing it, or you're being straight callous, but we'll get to that in a second. So now the next one is actually going straight back to the other point. You're offending the girl. Sometimes you guys don't recognize when you're offending a girl, you're trying to push buttons, trying to get the girl to like you, because you're like, how does attraction work? Attraction works through a lot of through like the self-belief, the mindsets, and the mannerisms on the outside. And by you trying to push the buttons like that in a way, yes, there is a way of doing this where it's going to be like attractive, but I'll say this. There's a difference between breaking rapport and severing rapport, and you have to find that fine balance. If you're severing rapport and you piss a girl off, just notice you're doing this and back it off a little bit. If you're attacking the girl about something she can't change and she doesn't know you're teasing her and it's not a playful vibe and it just seems straight aggressive, everything should be coming from a playful place. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be you attacking and beating the girl down, which is like what I've seen from like old community like pickup videos. No. It's not about beating her down, okay? It's a we frame. You're building towards a vibe, all right? Now, next one, being too timid, which actually takes you back to being a provider. So you're almost playing to not lose as opposed to playing to win. You're not being authentic, so you're like trying to play within the boundaries. And this oftentimes makes the girl want to be conservative herself, and it creates a very sterile conversation because you're unwilling to be real or be authentic, to being willing to risk offending her, to be charismatic at the risk of offending. Again, not breaking rapport, not severing rapport, but breaking rapport. It's a fine balance, and it's something you learn over the period of you going out for 3 months, 6 months, a year. You'll start finding that balance. I always have a hard time for the first 6 months of finding this balance, but eventually it does come into place. Now, next thing, failing shit tests. So again, this is coming back to kind of being authentic. This is like when you're being a decent amount authentic and the girl's like, well, this guy's coming across like the man, it's coming across like daddy, and now guess what? Now she wants to really push on you a little bit. Now, if she pushes on you and she sees that you're acting incongruent to the character you've been showing yourself to be, again, now it's like, oh, he's a button pusher, and she's gonna reject you. Sometimes even harshly, again, because you're a caricature. You're not real. You're playing a game. So now she's like, well, fuck you, I'm out, and she leaves, all right? Now, the way you pass the shit test, if you guys wanna know how to do it without actually being the person, because it's always easier just to be the person, but again, that's really tough for certain people at a certain level. So I'll tell you the 4 different ways. Now, oftentimes community tells you 3, there's actually 4. So the first one is agree. All right, so girl says something like, oh, is that what you say to all girls? Yeah, it is. All right, now the next one is exaggerate. Is that what you say to all the girls? Every single one, every day of my life. What's the next one? Let's see. It's agree, exaggerate, ignore. Is that what you do to every girl? Maybe just give her a look, like, and then just change subjects. Just talk about anything else. Now, last one is misinterpret. Oh, is that what you say to all the girls? Are you saying that because it's working? So now it's like, now I'm misinterpreting her as trying to flirt with me. So those are the 4 ways that, the last one's the one that I classically use and I love using it. I think it's the best way, but there's 4 different ways and those are the 4 ones if you guys want to know how to do it on a logical standpoint. Now, next thing, slut shaming. So sometimes a girl will feel like the fear of judgment from others, and and for that reason, she'll just reject you because she's afraid of looking a certain way in front of her friends. Maybe her friends have a certain agenda, and they're in an ego of like being like hating, like being mad at men, and so they don't want their friend's like, well, you know, I guess I got to reject this guy too, so she's gonna reject you. Or maybe she just doesn't want to be seen a certain way, and she's very meek and mild-mannered, so she's gonna try to get out of the situation just so she doesn't look that way. Or maybe she has a guy that she's kind of feeling out, and she doesn't want him, you know, seeing you talking to her in this way. So it's like, it's just an ulterior motive, and you're getting in the way of her ego, of her actions, and of course she's gonna get rid of you. She barely knows you. If she knew you better, maybe she'd be into it. Maybe she invested more and actually try to feel you out, because again, girls are not just attracted to physicality like men are. They're very much attracted to who you are and the way you present yourself. They're self-perceived status. So the longer they're with you, the longer they see that self-perceived status, the honest signals, the more they're attracted. All right, now let's get to the next point. Validation of using you like a pawn. Now, I'll put it this way. When I first came up with this idea, or this version of rejection, like I actually had the wrong idea about it. I thought it was to do with like a girl that had low self-esteem. But a girl that, if you came across in a way that was attractive, a girl wouldn't do this. But if you're still like on the fence and you still don't know how to attract a girl, or like the girl's not attractive to you yet, she's going to more to take on this strategy, which is more like use you as a pawn, either for validation so she can validate herself and feel good, or 2, to make another guy jealous. And that's not gonna be fun. Or to even fill time because she's bored. Sometimes that happens. But if you come across in a very like seductive way, like this won't happen. If you're doing this, if you're punching through the wall instead of at the wall, so if you're punching at the wall and trying to play it safe, playing not to lose, this is gonna happen. But if you're playing to win, last time I had this happen, I think was a year ago. And ever since then, I have not experienced this rejection, like, I think since then. It's been a really long time. And it's because of the way that I present myself. In the same way, if you present yourself in the right way, this is not going to be an issue. All right. Now, next point. Getting approached anxiety. So this one's actually funny. So this one actually is something a lot of guys don't know about. So you have anxiety approaching a girl, correct? You get a little bit nervous, you start shaking, maybe start sweating. Maybe it's hard to like keep yourself from fidgeting. Girls get getting approached anxiety the same way you do. So sometimes you can see it in a girl's eyes where I call it whiting out. She's overthinking it. She's not even listening to you. You'll see it in her eyes where she's like looking frantic and anxious. She's freaking out from getting approached anxiety. She doesn't know what's going on. She also doesn't want to get rejected herself, and she might not even know the premise because she's not even listening. So have you ever noticed, I don't know if any of you guys have come from a place where you are super anxious, but sometimes what happens is you're not even present to the moment and you're not even there to listen to somebody. So when you see somebody whiting out, you see that facial expression, slow down and enunciate. Because when you do this and you enunciate your words and you add extra emphasis, now the girl's gonna start listening, because now you're putting more importance on it and you're adding more pauses. Add pauses, empathize. Basically, you want her to understand the premise first. So let her know you're not a salesman. Let her know that you're actually talking to her because you found her cute, not for any other reason. Obviously, not everybody gets along. I just figured I'd try something and see if, we're the kind of people who get along. If it does come down to 2, I don't know if you're busy right now. Basically, you're just like getting the premise down. You're trying to calm her down. And now, emotions are contagious. Be calm yourself. Don't be anxious yourself. If you're anxious, it's just gonna add fuel to the fire, and you guys are gonna start becoming a mess. So be calm, lead by example, and by you being calm, empathizing, using your words properly, it's gonna click a lot better for her, and she's gonna slow it down. And that's the way to deal with this. Now, next point. Scary situation. You're approaching a girl at night by herself. Yeah, she's probably gonna freak out a little bit, man. Open palms is the best strategy ever. Open palms, apologize, be empathetic, understand the situation. Look, I know it's dark and whatnot. I know this is probably not the greatest time to say hi to you, but you're so ridiculously, like, at least physically my type. I figured that I'd come to get to know you. What's your name? And now, like, that's the premise. Open palms. All right. Now, next point. Building rapport tone. So this comes back to like playing to not lose. And I see it in so many clients. It's actually such a common thing. It's like, hey, how's it going? It's that salesman tone or that like customer service tone as opposed to like, hey, how's it going? Hey. It's break rapport. Hey, hey. Now, if you're building rapport, again, it's coming across as if you are trying to push buttons. And what happens when you push buttons? She's gonna get really annoyed and she's gonna feel like you're trying to manipulate her. And like that you already have an outcome. Like if you already have an outcome, then you must not care who she is. So you must just want to have sex with her. And you don't like, you just want her for her body. And now that's the thing that girls always get mad about. So if you're building rapport, that is gonna be the subconscious frame in a girl where she's gonna get really pissed off at you. It's because she feels like you're just pushing buttons. All right. Which takes me to my next point. You just want one thing. So if you're coming across very, come on, let's do it, come on. And you're just very like, you just need that energy. If this is a big problem with you, you get used to rejecting girls and like on like having standards, what kind of girls you get with, or like even like date, build standards outside of looks for what you want in a girl. And I mean, I have like 30 to 50 things that I would look for in a girl. If the girl doesn't align with those, I am more than willing to reject her. So because I have that energy though, I'll say this, a lot of the girls will start chasing because I have it underneath the frame. But if you don't have this energy, again, button pushing, girl's gonna reject you, all right? Now, now this one's actually kind of interesting. So there's like two different like types of like situations a girl's gonna be in. Either one, she's in like, I'm in my playerish, I wanna fuck around kind of mood. And then the other one is like, I'm trying to be wifey mood. And so if she's going through her crazy stage and you're coming across as boyfriend or husband material, she's gonna reject you because she's gonna just wanna hurt you. Now the same way, if you're coming across as the bad boy, the guy that wants to fuck, that's just like looking for that kind of stuff, that's like kind of a little more playerish, that actually does better than the first one, to be honest. And you could always back it up and turn into more husband-boyfriend material, but because it's coming from a place of status. But on the other side of things, it can also get you a harsh rejection because the girl's like, he just doesn't even care about me, which again comes back to being willing to reject girls. You're willing to reject girls, they sense the energy, and even though like, all right, this is what I call open door theory. So if you see a cute girl, that's dope, cool, I'm gonna go say hi to her, but I did not decide yet that I already want to sleep with her. I want to see who she is first. Is she crazy? Is she dope? Is she good in conversation? Is she somebody that I would even want to lay next to in bed after sex? If the answer is no, I'm chill with like being her friend if she's like still that level of cool. But if it comes down to where she's just so boring or gross or just a myriad of psychological issues, of course I'm just gonna be like, well, have a good day and just walk away. All right, so that's the mindset you should be having. All right, open door theory. It's the same way a girl gets attracted to a guy. If a girl was to approach a guy in a club, this would be the mentality behind it. All right, now risking ego death. Now if she doesn't decide if she likes you yet, and you're like, hey, stop. Or like, I've seen guys like where they'll approach a girl, they'll stand still, and the girl may have been open to like saying hi to him, but she's already going somewhere. And she's like, you expect me to invest? And you barely, like, no, I'm not gonna invest, I don't even know you yet. So then the girl's not gonna wanna like look a certain way in front of her friends. She walks up on the guy, again, slut shaming. So she's gonna keep walking. Now, if you put the girl in a position to come up to you and it's gonna make her look, it's gonna hurt her ego where she thinks that she's the one that should be chased. Now, guess what? Now she's gonna reject you again. So do not get in the way of her ego. You can like baby step it and get a yes ladder going or a physical yes ladder, but those are like completely different things. Look those up. In general, you wanna try to avoid going against her ego. If she says she wants to do something or she is about something or she says that she's like this crazy girl, and then you take her, put her in a position to make her look less crazy, she's gonna go obviously not wanna do that because she already said she is a certain person. So she's gonna go push against that because her ego is already aligned with this. Action feeds ego, ego feeds action, all right? Now, false rejection read. So this one's actually just because like, so guys will like sense that a girl's rejecting them, but the girl's just maybe shy and she doesn't know what to say. The girl may be a little bit like trying to be challenging. I've had girls try to be challenging, especially in this new SJW movement. And the reason girls get challenging that are SJWs oftentimes is because they think you're attractive, and their way of like trying to pick up the guys, like taking that stick and poking them in the back, be like, heh, look at me, and like tease you. So it's their way of trying to get attracted, but then oftentimes guys will feel like they're getting rejected or teased, and they'll just bounce out. Just look out for these false reads. Sometimes like push against them, feel it out a little bit, double check. Now, once you get good at this, you don't have to worry about it too much. Now you can kind of get the reads in, but for the most part, double check. You never really know, all right? Unless you get like a hard, no. That's a different story. Or you get like straight, like verbally, like rejected, that's different. But this right here, if you're uncertain and you're just walking away, you could be wrong, all right? Now, personality defect. Now these are going more on back to the girl now at this point, as opposed to being yourself. So personality defect, she's an asshole. She's a dick. She doesn't like have a proper understanding of a guy's reality. So she thinks that you're this guy that's running through the world and just like hurting people's hearts, breaking people's hearts, whatnot, which isn't the case. You're being honest and authentic with whatever you are. And when you walk up to a girl, you think she's cute. Like you don't have any other way of like meeting women. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go on Tinder or Bumble? Like, is that what we all should be doing nowadays? But what if you see a cute girl and you want to risk creating something out of nothing? You want to pull the rabbit out of your hat. Well, you should be allowed to. You're always allowed to approach a girl. But on the other side, she's always allowed to reject you in any which way she deems fit. Now, if she rejects you like a jerk, that's on her. It's not your thing. Move on. Find a different girl. All right. Now, the next one is Lambo versus Camry. Now, we all have like this narrative in our head that tells us what we deserve. And a lot of us, so if a girl's too attractive, what do? You act weird until she walks away. If the girl's is not attractive enough, you get bored and you want to walk away. But if a girl's in the pocket, you get turned on and you get engaged in the conversation. If you make too much money, you start spending. If you make too little money and your bank account is very thin, you start saving and you start penny pinching until you're back in your comfort zone. In the same way, girls do the same thing. So sometimes a girl will reject you because you're too cool and somebody like you doesn't come and say hi to me. So what does that mean? It must mean you're up to something. Or she's gonna reject you to save face. You said something nice to me, well wait, like you're gonna realize that I'm not on your level at some point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna preemptively reject you so I can keep my egos, keep my face, so I can still feel good about myself. So some girls want a Camry. You can't do anything about it. You're a Lamborghini, all right? Let her go get her Camry. Go find a girl who wants a Lamborghini, all right? Now, the next one is the next loser effect. So this one's actually something that you can overcome by just persistence and being cool. So when a girl's in like a bar or club scene and she just gets approached by loser, 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 drunk loser, drunk loser, drunk loser, and then you come, guess what? She thinks you're another drunk loser. She thinks you're another asshole. She's not gonna take the mental energy to recognize that you're your own separate entity from those other 6 guys. She has a pattern that's been going on and you're just a part of the pattern. Now at this point, what do? You be free of outcome, have fun, play with the vibe, and not attached to the outcome. You let go of rejection as like the fear, you play to win. Now, when you have fun and your vibe is strong, the stronger emotion always wins. If you're fun and free and just teasing and joking and not taking it seriously, everything she throws at you, you spin it around that she's just, playing around, she's just being goofy. She's trying to add to the fun herself. Guess what? She's gonna want to be a part of that frame because it's an ego that benefits her. Like, does she want to be like the bitchy girl? No, she doesn't. She wants to be the fun girl. She wants to be the free-flowing girl. The girl that can be like, fall into a guy's arms and just melt. So when you come across this way, she wants to also be this way, but she's gonna have a little resistance because she's like, I know, but what if you're the other guys? And then you just gotta be authentic, fun, free, not care about the outcome. And if the outcome comes down to it where you guys still don't click, that's fine too. It's still good. You wish her the best of the night and you move on. All right. Now, she has a BF. Now she has a boyfriend. For the most part, I do not condone doing anything with those kind of girls. It's very dangerous, and 2, it's also just not morally right, to be fair. Like to ever mess around with a girl that has a boyfriend. Sometimes though, girls will say they have a boyfriend and they don't mean it. They're just saying it because it's a way that they want to reject you. If you're in the zone, you're in a happy, fun place, and you recognize it's the second one where she doesn't actually have a boyfriend, she's just saying it, tease with her, joke with her, make it into a joke, make it into like something stupid. Bad timing, bad mood. Maybe somebody kicked her cat, maybe somebody, like maybe her grandma died, and now here you come. Maybe she just like had a really bad run with a guy that took advantage of her, and now here you come. She thinks again, you're another one of those guys, and she's gonna treat you as such. Maybe she's hardcore in the SJW movement and she's in a man-hating mood. Well, now here you come, and you're gonna be the scratching post. So this is how occasionally happens, and again, it's nothing that you really need to fixate on. It's something you move on from, and you maybe like you can say something like more, I hope you have a better day, and you go talk to somebody else. It's not a big deal. But recognize when it's your fault and when it's the girl's fault, because until you get like a little more polished in your approach, you gotta recognize a lot of the time it will be your fault. All right, so until you get like maybe like a good level of proficiency and you fix all of your mindsets and your actions, then you can start more looking at these points. But until then, assume it's your fault. Think, how could I have done something differently to make this girl like me? Was there something that I did wrong? All right. Now, the next one is a certain ism, race, height, etc. These things are more like a logical rejection, and oftentimes the girl will be willing to hear you out. So the best way to do this, so I probably have had an average of about 3 girls a month give me something along these lines, and every single time what I did was I just out-cockied it. So like one of them was like, I'm just not into white boys. I'm like, except for the super cute charismatic ones. And oftentimes what the girls would say is, I'll make an exception, ask me for my phone number. Consistently. I don't think I've had a point yet where somebody hasn't said that and it didn't work out. Now, the next and final one is situational. Sometimes wrong place, wrong time. Girl's is late to work. She's about to get in a club. She doesn't want to be seen with another guy and then get barred entry. It's just the wrong situation, the wrong time, and that just happens. It just happens, and it's something you just move on from. Now, with all these things, honestly, you can. There's a way to always, to be fair, I'm pretty sure there's a way to fix all these and make them all to where they're obsolete or they're like no longer a problem. But that's not for you to do. Like if it comes down to it, like for a lot of you guys, I would just like, so you guys are never gonna reach that point where you guys are gonna have to like literally like start find out ways of like fixing every rejection. That's what I do, it's my job. For you, I would perfect your own approach, perfect your own methods, become a better, cooler guy that can be attractive to the girls. That for me is what a lot of guys should focus on. And also change your correlation and your response to rejection. Write your field reports, look at what you're doing, think things through. I made this video mainly because I want you guys to understand what's going on, when is it your fault, and when can you improve. But also I want you to recognize this. When is it not your fault? When is it just circumstantial? Like as a codependent, most of you guys are codependents. A lot of you guys are very perceiver types, and you guys have an often time like this hard time relinquishing yourself of pressure. You guys are all achievers. You guys want to like win, win, win. Well, sometimes it's not your fault. And I'll say this, by letting yourself off the hook on occasion, guess what? You're gonna be a lot more confident, you're gonna get a lot more girls into you. Then you won't have to keep coming back to these stupid videos trying to watch this stupid guy tell you how to get better with women. All right? Now, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. With that being said, peace.
Life's tough, try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite